Hello, everybody. Welcome to your daily Papa Positivity. How is everybody? Oh my gosh, you guys, I enjoyed the best day today. I thought I'd tape this evening with all the good energy of the day. It was like 65 degrees, not one single cloud in the sky. I got to go to the beach and go for a walk and spend lunch with the fellas and just have a relaxing, really nice time. And I actually brought this deck with me down the beach just to read the book and look at it. So let's take a look at what's going on. We have Atet, worthiness, and we have Yasiji, live out loud, and Asasya, joy. I love this. So let's see with number 14 too. She's the goddess of worthiness, and she's an Ethiopian goddess, warriors, and the element is brush. So this just reminds us, you matter. Worthiness is in your veins, and accepting yourself needs to begin now. So your birth certificate says that we need your overflowing magic, joy, vulnerability, and most important, we need you. You are deserving and worthy, and the beautiful parts of you that everyone likes are worth loving, and the parts that you or others you feel like you dislike are worth loving too. It's crazy how we will pick ourselves apart looking in a mirror or our skill sets or something, right? It's ridiculous. We are not all meant to be what is like the perceived perfect person, whatever it is, from head to toe. And that's one of the things that kind of scares me about all this plastic surgery and nonsense and people that are 80 trying to look like they're 20. It's like crazy to me. You are just as worthy in your prime, quote unquote, youth of your teens and 20s and 30s as you are, even more so. I feel like as people evolve and grow into their wisdom, they become more beautiful. So I love this so much. The declaration of this goddess is simply I matter, which I love. So I love this live out loud. I have, and as we all do, we all have friends, and funnily enough, I think I was the most outgoing of my group. I don't have social fears or anxiety. So if I wanted to say or do anything or dance or whatever, I just kind of did it. And it's wonderful because I feel like we all teach each other that within our friendship groups, right? That we belong to do things that are fun and that are connected and out there and outlandish and fun. And if you want, it's like kids in the grocery store where they start dancing to the music because they dig it. I love it. I'm always dancing in the grocery store. It's one of those things. It's the way you express yourself. It won't make everybody happy, but that's okay. You're not meant to. Living out loud and self-expression look different for everyone. For outgoing extroverts, self-expression might mean dancing on tables, yelling at their points of view. Introverts may speak out in other ways and save the louder parts for other personalities of their loved ones, but we feel free to express ourselves fully however we want. Wild, dramatic dress, the way that we communicate, the way that we use our love languages, right? But live out loud. Whenever you feel like doing something, take off all those weird constraints and limitations that we think should be on us. Sometimes it's like it's not in us to be agreeable with the sheep or the norm, right? It just isn't, because when we see something, we say something. And I feel like that's definitely what living out loud is all about. Like, that's not for me, but this is, that's what I love. Uniqueness and individuality. If everybody looked like it, and going back to worthiness, if everybody looked like that weird, I feel like everybody's going in for this like Kardashian whatever, where everybody's starting to look the same. They're starting to morph, and it freaks me out a little bit. Like, I hope this next generation coming up in their 20s and their 30s has the strength to say, I want to be my individual self. I want my face that God gave me. I don't need to morph into to somebody that everybody's starting to look like, right? And just living out loud and express your you-ness, right? Share your voice and magic. I love this. So let's see what joy is about. Asasya, I love this. So 16, I feel like any time that we want to reach for joy, all we have to do is pull in a memory, right? That's what I do. I think of like what was one of my happiest times during the day, during my life, when I want to get myself out of a conundrum or a mind loop. Like, I'm going to share this weird thing with me that happened yesterday, and it was weird. And all of a sudden I'd like plummeted into this, like, at first it was sadness, and then it was like a nostalgia, because this time of year can be hard for me. I don't have either of my parents anymore, or a lot of my immediate family. Some my brothers have passed on, and I was just thinking about, my birthday is coming up. And I remember when we used to have big family get togethers. November, I was always stoked. I was like, yeah, my birthday is like right always after Thanksgiving, and like just celebrating. And all of a sudden I just felt like this thing, nostalgia, like, wow. And I got like really sensitive to everything around me. And I'm sure you guys know what that's like, right? Where you're thinking that you miss something, but then you start to pull in other things that you miss. But then it's almost like you start to wallow it and feel sad. And then I felt oversensitive. And it was one of these things that I'm like, oh, my whole family takes me for granted. They don't know what it's like, blah, blah. And it was so weird, like in my head. And then I was like, Mel, the reality is they don't know what you're thinking, and you're letting yourself traverse down these roads that can lead to sadness and loss, just because you're trying to reconnect with memories. And you don't have to have that be both, right? You can connect and remember all the things that brought you joy. Like, one of my happiest childhood memories was how many crazy freaking animals we had on. We had like an acre of land, and it was like an Old Saybrook, Connecticut, and it was like shoreline. But I don't know how we jammed in all these pets and animals we had. But we did kind of have an old rambling house that had lots of bedrooms, and it had a big deck, and we had a garden and a trellis and a pool and a hot tub and all. So my mom just kept building all these fun things. It was like a friggin' amusement park. But we had ferrets, and we had French lop rabbits, and we had dogs, and we had cats. We just had so many wild animals. And I remember we had a hammock out in our yard, and I remember swinging moonshine in it. And she was one of our, we named her that because she would loll around like she was drunk. We're like, she looks like she drank moonshine. And she was so funny because if you guys that own ferrets, you know that they can escape, and they do all these weird things. And sometimes they sidle sideways. They're just wackadoo. And moonshine had this thing for biting people's feet, and it was hilarious. But I remember, like, every once in a while I hear my dad go, ah, shit. I knew Moonshine was like biting him. So we'd put her in the hammock and rock her back and forth, and I would sing to her. And then we had a pit bull named Nasty, and Nasty would get in the hammock with ferrets, and it was so ridiculous. And it was like, that makes me laugh. So instead of turning those, I miss my mom and my dad and all the crazy animals. And my stepfather Bill was one of the greatest people on earth, like everybody. And it was like, I would just remember all of us with our crazy animals. It was ridiculous. And that made me feel good and pulled me out of that. And this lets us know you deserve to be happy, and it's safe to feel good. Allow yourself to feel joy with no limits. We don't have to be these like pack mules of responsibility. It's absurd. Really, really tap into self-love, joy with no limits. Your happiness doesn't need to look like anyone else's either. If you can imagine it, you'll be able to live it. You will, the moment you imagine it. Me too. And my idea of joy and like euphoria, I get so stoked over the little things. I'm serious. Like, all these ladybugs showed up in the yard yesterday. Hayden goes, oh my God, Mom, you have to see this. And we opened the back door. They must have just hatched, or the warmer weather brought them out. They were in the hundreds, and they were landing on everything. We love ladybugs, and we were freaking out. There were so many of them. Like, that made my day, and it was like one of the coolest things ever. Like, I love weird natural phenomenon and animal and insect phenomenon and stuff like that. Like, that makes me really happy because it shows me the miracles of the world and life, and that's what's going to happen. And you are going to feel like you when you're happy. Giggle therapy, just start laughing. And I love comedy of all sorts, and I'm constantly putting that on to make myself laugh, because I feel like that instantly is a vibration lifter for sure. So the moment that you start to, it's fine when we have nostalgia and we're thinking about people that we love, but the moment it starts to take a turn where we're having a woe is me moment, remember the joy that you had with those people. Whether it was like something that eventually, it could be an ex, things weren't always rough and bad, and that's why it ended. So go to the parts that you love that made you laugh and feel alive, because those are moments that we can relive over and over with new people, kindred spirits, and that's what you want to pull into your life. And joy is sacred, and our laughter is so healing. And I feel like anytime that you can reach for that, go for it. It's the number one remedy with me. And so are fond memories that bring me joy and silliness and goofiness. And it's crazy when I think back how much of my childhood and even adulthood, the funny moments have usually occurred with animals. Like today I was in the park, and I was having a phone call with Ezra, and this golden retriever starts coming at me 100 miles an hour on my picnic table, and I'm like, damn, this dog is loving me. And what I forgot was I took a tennis ball out of my purse and I put it on the table in front of me, and it must have been the thing he zoned in on. But then as he got closer to it, he noticed me, and then he was jumping up on me, and his mom was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm like I was just petting and kissing. I'm like, no worries whatsoever. I love animals. But animals are a source of laughter, as are young children, right? Young children that speak their mind and say whatever they want. Half the time you're mortified at some of the stuff that comes out, but it's hilarious, right? So look for moments of hilarity and joy to lift your spirits. So that's your daily pop, you guys. I love these cards so much. I'm going to use them every day for the rest of my life. They're just the best. So I love you guys. Take care.